So what do you do when you get three awesome books like Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Superman? Of course, you compare them and decide which of these three books is the best of the three books. So that's what we're doing right now. I'm Jason from the Multiverse. We're going to talk about which of these books is the best. Here we go. Before we get started, do all those YouTube things for me. Like this, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you can hear content like this whenever it's available. All right, now all three of the Absolute books for the big characters in DC have been released. Now, I've done a review on each one of these with no spoilers whatsoever. This will have some spoilers. I'm going to talk about what happens in the stories, what I liked about what happens, and what I didn't like about what happens. Some of the things you may like better than I did. So here we go. First thing, Batman. Excellent story. We start out early in Batman's life. Absolute Batman is a beast. He's huge, totally different. You don't have all the advantages that wealth brings him, but he's still super smart. Becomes an engineer. There's a little bit of suspension of disbelief, like, so how did he learn to fight like that? And where did he go to do all these extra things that Batman in his history did in order to be, the Batman? And we don't know some of that. We just know he's super smart and he makes really cool gadgets. In fact, I think better gadgets than core Batman does up to this point. And we've got the cape is super awesome. The axe is just next level, and is a really cool kind of approach that we have to bats. So I really liked it. Here's what I liked about it the most. It was written incredibly well, and the story was complete. An absolutely complete story from Scott Snyder. We have a beginning, a middle, and an end. We have a core conflict. We get to see resolution to that conflict while we're getting introductions of all of these characters along the way. So it is a fully complete, well-told story. The artwork is also next level. So the artwork on this is very artistic in the way that like a Tim Sale is artistic. Like it's an artist that is telling a story themselves in the way that they're presenting something. The colors that are chosen, the dynamics, the dynamicism, I don't know what that right word is, but the energy that comes when Batman is in conflict is extraordinary. It's one of those just total chef's kiss, beautiful, well done, excellent job. I think that it is a total complete story, very well done, and I love what they're doing with the character. It's not my normal Batman. In fact, I don't know if I want it to be my normal Batman. I like my normal Batman being kind of how he is, and I wouldn't want to trade out this Bats for another Bats, but it was really good. Next we go to Wonder Woman. Was less of a complete story. It was a big fight. It felt like a kaiju movie to me, where there's a big bad and we've got some little bads to fight, and then we get to this big bad that we're going to fight. And you saw her as a warrior, and interspersed throughout these action scenes that we get, we see her in her origin. We see how she became this warrior that we're seeing at the time. And it all builds to a moment at the very end of the book when she says, I am Diana. I am the princess of hell, but I'm also the last Amazon of Themyscira. And she says, I am Diana of Themyscira, the last Amazon. And she basically just blows the doors off the thing, and it's the end of her becoming that you see when she stands there, and she's got her lasso ablaze on her hip, she's got the giant sword there, and you see this kind of character build to a moment where she comes in and makes a statement of, this is who I am. So did we complete the core story, the action that was there? It was a little bit of a switcheroo in this thing, right? It was a switcheroo in that we thought the story was about the fight. No, the story was about Diana becoming the last Amazon. That's what it was. So the story was all about how she became this warrior, this last Amazon. Super cool, really different take. I hope they do a little bit of work where she takes this pantheon of gods who has betrayed her, and I hope she just goes to war with those MFers. And that would be amazing. I would love that. And she's got a whole Norse sort of look to her right now. I hope she just switches pantheons. And she's like, So, have you guys met my buddy Thor or whatever? I don't know. It's kind of hard to have a Thor, but I hope she goes Norse. I hope she goes Norse in this way, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. We were left in the middle of this fight, though, and I'm a little bit annoyed by not having resolution to the fight. I'll give you my ratings, my rankings in just a minute. Then we've got Superman. Superman, now, I am a Superman fan. I'm wearing my Superman shirt. I've got my soups right behind me here in the statue. Huge Superman fan. Have been my whole life. His comics are how I learned how to read. And you won't see me stop doing that. In fact, what I love is aspirational heroes. You see Captain America over my shoulder. So Captain America is also an aspirational hero, someone that we can all look up to, that we can all want to be. When you start to water him down, when you water down his goodness and his purity, he starts to lose some appeal for me. And that's what's happened with this Superman in my mind. Now, I'm also a corporate guy. I own a business and I work for a business. I have a day job and I own a comic book store. And I actually own a few different businesses. So I don't have the same belief system that this Superman has, which is the business people, the business owners, the corporate people, they're evil. And I know that's a popular thing to do now. I know there's a whole generation of people who are anti the business owners, that are anti-leaders, that are anti-corporate America, that think that's all a horrible establishment. But it's actually been pretty good to me. So I don't love that in this story. The other thing that I find doesn't quite jive with me in this story is the class warfare thing. I actually don't believe in class warfare. It's not a thing that's my bag. Now, I grew up very poor. I say poor. I never felt poor, but if you looked at it socioeconomically, I grew up in a really nice town, but all of my friends had super nice, crazy cars. I had to earn the money and buy a car and pay for my own insurance and those sorts of things. I had to do these things myself. And it's not because my parents didn't like me or didn't care about me. It's because my dad was a pastor and my mom mostly stayed home with us. So she did work some. She mostly stayed home with us. So I don't come from a big, wealthy, aristocratic class. That said, I have elevated to a level in society economically above where my parents were. So I've seen class movement, and I actually think that's a great thing. So this whole, oh, this class is not as good as this class, and it's all about the classes and people labeling. Well, my thought is, at least in America, where I am, it's all about movement between the classes and the idea that you don't have to live in the same generation that your parents were in, or the generation or the classification or the level of wealth that you were born into. You don't have to end in that. And I certainly haven't. I've done better. And I don't think anybody else has to do that either. So this class warfare doesn't jive for me necessarily that Superman's got going on. The other thing that doesn't work as well for me in Superman, you're going to hear a bunch of negative stuff because I love Superman so much. The negative stuff really drove me crazy. The other thing that didn't work for me as much is the oh woe is me-ness of the character. And that's just not what I want in Superman. I want a Superman that's out there, that's driving but this is very much an all alone character, not an oh woe is me. I'm going to hide in the shadows. They try to make Superman Batman somehow. And that's not what I'm looking for in my Superman. So those are the bad things. The good things are, I really like what they did with his power set in this series. So there's something going on with his suit, with his gauntlets. We see him actually charging. I don't know if he's required, if that's the only way he gets powers is to do solar charging of some sort, or if he can charge directly from the sun. We don't know that yet. We know that after a little while underground, he was definitely depleted and didn't have as much power. We also know that his gauntlets glow with kind of a solar view, and also his boots, what are those, greaves? I don't know what they are. Over his shins, you see his boots glow with this solar look as well. So I don't know what they're going to do that, but what it feels like they're doing with it is saying, we're going to manage his power levels based on solar exposure. That's a cool concept. And we run into this problem where Superman is too all-powerful in a lot of stories. That's going to be fixed here if that's where they continue going. I haven't read number 2 yet. I'm anxiously awaiting number 2. It's killing me, by the way, because I got to read number 1 way before everybody else in a preview, and they haven't given us the previews for the number 2s. So I'm having to wait. The time between number 1 and number 2 for me is really long. So it's really killing me. So that's really good. So if you were to ask me to rank them in, a 1 to 3. Oh, here's what I'll say about the protagonist, antagonist, that whole thing. I don't feel like there was a really solid arc that Jason Aaron gave us in the first issue. I think he may be taking a longer view. I'll tell the origin story in a 6 or 7 issue arc, and it's going to be one whole thing. But this first issue just didn't feel like it ended at a place where it made sense to end. So I don't feel like I got the full character development. I also don't feel like I got the resolution to a conflict or to a story. I got some introductions to stuff in Jason Aaron's. So what I was looking for in the number 1 issues was what Scott Snyder gave me. Batman is my number 1 pick. I thought it was the best. Second, I'm not a Wonder Woman fan normally. Wonder Woman was number 2 for me. And the reason Wonder Woman was number 2 is because it was a full arc. It was a full arc for the character. The character of Wonder Woman had a full story that was told, and how she got from point A to point B. And I think what I liked about this is it was definitely a woman's touch on the character, and it was great. I thought it was a really good way to tell a story, and I'm glad that Kelly Thompson did that. And Superman is my least favorite so far, but it's one where I still hold out high hopes. I'm still buying all the issues. There's no way I'm going to not at this point. I'm so all in on this whole freaking initiative. I'm totally into the whole thing. And the Absolutes, the all-in books with Superman and Tom Taylor on Detective Comics, all of those, I'm such a sucker for this stuff. I love all of it. So I'm in for it. I'm going to keep buying all of these books along the way. I think it's going well. But yeah, if you have to rank them, Batman, then Wonder Woman, then Superman. That's my vote. What's yours? Tell me in the comments. Now, if you haven't had a chance to read these books, like if you didn't get them because you weren't subscribed to pick these up from your local comic shop, or you don't have a local comic shop, then do this. Go on to Multiverse.shop. We have some of them still. I believe we've got some Supermans. They may be gone, but we have some Supermans, and we're getting the second and third printings as they come out. And I have consistently underestimated these books, by the way. The second printing flew off the shelves for Absolute Batman, but the way it's just got so much velocity. So many people are interested in stories. But keep checking Multiverse.shop and you'll get those. All right. Enjoy these. Keep reading comments. I want to hear what you think about these here in the comments below.